Hello, viewers, and welcome to She Power. I am joined by Judy, Kibinge, Executive Director, Docubox. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to see the wonderful work that you're doing here. And tell us a little bit more about Docubox. What exactly is it all about?
Okay. Docubox is East Africa's only documentary film fund. I am a filmmaker. I come from a background of, first advertising and then jumping into independent cinema and making films and documentaries. And Docubox was really formed on realizing that just how difficult it is for an independent producer in this country, in particular in the region as a whole, to get the support that they need to make the fantastic films and contents that everybody wants to see but can't quite seem to find. And so what Docubox does, we do a number of things. Our mandate has grown over the last 3 years. We competitively announce awards or grants. People apply. And we've had 2 cycles. Of the people that apply, we choose 12. We put lots of time and training and bring mentors in to work on the filmmakers' ideas. We don't dictate what the idea should be. We just don't want sort of extremely boring, preachy or NGO type films. We want stories about life, about what it is to be Kenyan or what it is to be alive, and once we do, we go through that process with the 12 filmmakers. We choose 6, and so far we've given away quite a number of grants. The first 6 each received $20,000 each to go ahead and make their independent documentaries. We did a second cycle that stretched into East Africa, and again 12 documentary filmmakers received amounts of money that helped them make trailers and teasers, and with lots of input from mentors and from each other. And then we picked 6 who again got grant awards to go forwards and make their films.
Amazing. Now, given that the situation in Kenya in terms of local production is a bit of a murky ground, how has your experience been, getting different filmmakers, different ideas? Maybe you can share that with us.
Yeah, I think, it's so interesting. Every time you hear people talk about local content, you'll keep hearing the phrase, Kenyans, we have so many stories that we want to tell, and it's true. I think we do have stories that we want to tell, but telling those stories requires a whole bunch of things. It requires support, and sometimes it's not just monetary support. Sometimes it's just getting a little help to shape the telling of that story. Sometimes it's even the benefit of being in a collaborative environment so that you can improve and brainstorm your story. Sometimes it's being able to share a rough cut and get input to make it better. And of course, as they say, money isn't everything, but it certainly is something. I think there is so much talent that there are people really pushing as far as they can, the films and the stories that they can, but without the support and without a framework, it's hard to take them forward. People, if you, I suppose, look at a lot of other societies around the world, they have broadcasters who commission very regularly, whether we're talking about South Africa or out in the West. And you see the results of that. People are actually able to raise their financings. They have cultural funds as well. People often point to West Africa and they say, but look at that, what about Nigeria?
Exactly.
How does Nigeria succeed?
Yeah.
And they don't have this sort of financing. Well, Nigeria has a lot of people, and and population does matter. I think if you have the sort of numbers that they have, you are actually, and the sort of pride in their own productions that they have.
Oh yeah.
You are actually. It's not hard to imagine selling 2 million copies of your DVD or 3 million copies of your DVD. If, like us, you have not 20% of the same population, it makes it a little bit harder.
Oh yeah. It doesn't even out the playing ground. And what can we do to sort of have that? You've mentioned Nigeria, that cultural pride and in accepting our things, and most especially productions and films.
First and foremost, it's difficult to be the filmmaker producer and the distributor. And for some reason, we just have not cracked distribution yet. We don't have a strong system of distribution. A lot of people have risen up and really tried to market and distribute their films, but it appears to me the pirates are stronger.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yes, and if you don't have the will administratively as a country, as a government, to really crack down on pirates, how are you ever going to make your money back with attendance to cinemas shrinking, people buying more and more and more DVDs for 50 bob or whatever it is, but the only people profiting from those sales being the people who didn't put any production money in, you know? And if you look at a lot of the quite a number of producers making content for Mnet and so on, you find that people like Mnet, because they have traditionally given a good budget, have actually resulted in lots of people getting the practice that they need, the experience that they need to make films at a very professional level. If you're always working with very small budgets, there's a place you're not able to grow into, because you never have the crew that you need to make the kind of story that you can even sell to Netflix. You know, you remain at a very juakali kind of level. So maybe distribution is going to crack where our finances need to come from. Maybe Netflix Africa will come in and
take things to another level.
Yeah, which would be a shame, because it'd be nice if the solution could be more homegrown. But if that's where it comes from, well, that's where it comes from.
That's true. I mean, we're not going to say no to that. And talking about the productions that you have managed to sort of help grow and fund as Docubox, they're very problem solution centered in terms of the content. Why that direction?
Because we tend to see so much NGO type documentary work. Many people believe that that's what documentary is.
It's all about. That's very true.
And it isn't. You know, documentary is supposed to be engaging. Documentary should be gripping in a way. It's a true reflection on what a particular aspect of life is. It's not always got a solution, but it definitely is always a true reflection of what life is. A lot of the films that we've supported are you find do not have voiceovers or narratives. The reason that we give an amount as much as $20,000, and filmmakers actually even go off and raise more, is they spend years making these films because you're watching a story unfold over time. And it might be a personal narrative. Somebody goes off to film one thing and films lots and lots and lots, and over the years maybe the film transforms to be something else. The sorts of films we produce definitely don't come to life in a year. They're just personal narratives that I think will, once done, help the society reflect upon who we are, where we're going in a really engaging way. One of the films that we've been making, for instance, have supported filmmakers to make, is a story set on the coast of Kenya, where the filmmakers had gone to film something completely different and began to find that as many as 30 elderly people were being killed by their relatives who just wanted their land but accused them of being witches. And so
in the coastal region.
And so these filmmakers, you know, if it was a news piece, you'd film it over 3 days or 5 days and that's it.
Done, yeah.
But no, they've been going down really often, every month or so, to film the story developing, you know. So they film, and they've identified their characters. They filmed grandmother and grandson. They filmed family meetings. You know, a few months later, they filmed the relatives coming together to perform an exorcism of the grandmother. They've gone back again to sort of follow up what relatives and neighbors are saying. So in the end, you end up watching something that's just as gripping as perhaps a drama in a way, because it has its beginning, middle, and end. You've started to care about the characters. You've started to understand the families and the relatives, And yeah, so those are the kind of films we support. We welcome creative storytelling as well. One of our grantees is an amazing filmmaker who's an animator and whose work a lot of people saw through Yellow Fever, which is an animated documentary. And she, Nyandomuki in this case, she films, she records audio interviews, and then she goes off and she animates them. And in the end is this really strange world that is completely real because it's based on true interviews. But because it's animated, it sometimes even plays on thoughts that are in her mind and so on. So, I mean, they're all really different. They all have taken time to unfold. And I think they'll all be valuable to us as, just as a nation, as individuals, because each story is a reflection on what it is to be Kenyan or East African, but really filmed with lots of love and pain and over lots of time.
Exactly, and I mean the creativity that goes into it, I mean it's well deserving of all these grants and all this time and effort. And as we wind up this first segment, maybe we can go back. I'm very curious about the docu you've shared that's been done in Mombasa, in the coastal region. In such a situation when you're actually capturing things in real time, is it not tempting to interfere and try make it go in a particular direction?
Yeah, I think it is, because people get to know their subjects, and some of the discussions that we end up having here in Docubox and it's stressful for the filmmaker as well. Because sometimes you'll be filming people and they suddenly decide 1.5 years later, I'm tired of you following me. And it starts to get stressful because these are real people that you're filming and following, and there's real things that are beginning to open up. I think there have been so many films, not just here, where it can be tempting to interfere, but if you are a true filmmaker, and I'm really glad to say that actually all of our films have really reflected life, you film it as it happens.
As it is.
You film it as it is. And I think it's, I think you tell if suddenly characters started sprouting lines, because the funny thing is truth is stranger than fiction. And even the most mundane things that people do and say are just so much stranger than fiction, in a sense. And I think as well, if you followed a film for a long amount of time, like what are you going to do to shorten it or change it, or all you can do is just let that story unfold and look for a natural place for it to end.
Wow. Amazing. We're going to take a short break right now. Ladies and gentlemen, do keep it She Power on WTV Kenya. Welcome back, viewers, to She Power, where we celebrate all things women making extraordinary strides in their different fields. I'm joined by Judy Kibinge, Executive Director, Docubox. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Going back into our very heated discussion, if I may say so. Let's talk about the role of women in production and filmmaking. We haven't seen that much work coming from women filmmakers as Kenyans, as ordinary citizens. Why?
Actually, I beg to differ. I think as far back as you go, whether you're looking to earlier filmmakers, Jane Munene, Domi Yambo, you'll see that women took the lead pretty early on. You move on to a producer like Jerry Karago, who for me as a director, she was my producer when we did films like Dangerous Affair back in the day.
Oh yeah, good. That was a good one.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
But yeah, there she is, Kenyan filmmaker, went to Hollywood, became VP of one of the larger houses out there in Hollywood. And then came back with that. From that time on, if you look at, again, women's names, Wanuri Kahio is a name that pops up all the time, with her films like Pumzi and From a Whisper, Hawa Esuman with Soul Boy as well. And if you look at some of the powerhouses, the women who are really moving stuff now, look at Epi Matere, who just recently did a whole roster of films for Mnet. I think they were like 81-hour films, and
Wow.
which she did in less than a year and a half or something like that. I mean, those are all women. Dorothy Getubo, you know, legend in TV and drama.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone else out there like her. So I think actually it's the other way around.
We don't have a lot of the men.
I think there's such an unusually strong number of amazingly capable and accomplished female filmmakers and producers, and you'd be surprised how many theses, not even here, have been written where people come and the subject of their thesis is Kenyan filmmakers, and they're all trying to understand why are there so many of us, you know, disproportionate to the number of films that have been made here. Yeah.
Oh, that's very intriguing.
It is.
And how do we identify, like, how do we identify their impact in the productions that we're getting to see on screen and even online?
How do we? I think just the fact that those stories exist. And Dokie Mohoho, I forgot to mention Dokie, who's done a lot of Mnet films like Changes and so on. I think the impact is there because when you have a producer, male or female, in this case, these amazing women producing that much, you have a whole bunch of people trained up underneath them. You know, so if you're looking at Dorothy. And all those TV dramas that she's done, so many of them.
Oh yeah.
Think of the crew that's gone through the process with her. Think of the people who've had rent, you know, paid through her work. Same thing with Epi Machare. The fact that she was able to do so many of these films back to back. Think of the number of DOPs and editors and so on who, just as a result of having the opportunity to work on all these films, just grew, you know?
That's true.
And I think, and this is not always the case, but often I think women, often, not always, there's some, we come in all shapes and sizes and attitudes, but women often help others, pull others up.
Oh yeah.
With them along the way. I think I have a theory about, which I don't know if it's true, about why there's so many female filmmakers, and I think it's because initially people didn't really see the monetary value in making films, and I think there was just a proliferation of women early on who were telling stories because they just wanted to and they just needed to. And Anne Mungai, I even forgot to mention Anne Mungai in that whole number of female filmmakers. You find a lot more guys now if you go around film schools and so on. Seems to be more guys than women. But the pioneers were women. Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. And talking about still in that same area, even though we have the pioneers and majority of the filmmakers being the women, do we have any sort of discrepancy in terms of the crew? Let's talk about the actors and actresses in terms of payment and the wage gap, the whole discussion that was really alive in the United States a couple of months ago in terms of having that discrepancy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, I just keep having this thing. I don't see it here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe because on, you know, just every film I've been involved in and the people that I work with and the work I know of, I've not seen it. Of course, if you look at grips, I have yet to meet a female grip. You know, I think it's like, the crew that you know, do all the heavy work, those tend to be guys. Yeah. It'd be nice to see some female grips. I think it would be really, really nice. Like, we've got female mechanics, we've got female, you know, so strength does not... Strength is not everything. It's sort of strength of this as well. That's, I guess, where I see the discrepancy. But if I look, also, of course, you know, I don't think there are enough fabulous female DOPs. Actually, I've never worked with a female DOP, and I think if there were some strong female DOPs when I was making my films, I would have loved to work with them. And so, but I think that's more a result of the fact that the industry is young. I think that's going to change. I think that the stronger the industry gets, if the industry was a little bit more prosperous, I think as well we'd see more women doing that. Editors, you know, female editors. There are loads of female editors, and of course, as you know, that editing requires like great patience and sensitivity, and a lot of the really good there are a lot of really good editors who are women, actually. So, yeah, I haven't seen the kind of industry wars that you see out there in the US. I haven't seen.
Maybe you can tell us what's next for Docubox. Talking the next 5 years, what do you guys expect to achieve?
Yeah. I think what I love about Docubox and what we've been able to achieve so far is we have moved and grown very, very organically. We didn't sort of get a template. We didn't look and see, oh, what do film funds abroad do? We did lots of research. We did 2 big rounds of research where we talked to emerging filmmakers, established filmmakers, and the general public, and ourselves as filmmakers, and really tried to figure out what should a film fund answer. And that's how we crafted the grants that we give. The next thing that we did is we realized, okay, people don't see documentary film, they don't understand it, so we started screenings, and we started having those once a month. Now, that was more or less the space that we were operating in. If you look at now in our plans for the next 5 years, they are incredibly ambitious. We have started screening more and more in schools and campuses. Right now, in quite a small period, we'll have screened to almost 10,000 students in schools in something like 3 months. It's really ambitious. We've moved into campuses as well. We've done a few screenings at MMU, at Kenyatta University as well. So the films that used to just do the Nairobi circuit are starting to have a much bigger circuit.
Oh, yeah.
And most ambitiously of all, we've taken up more space than this office recently. We're really moving on faith because we haven't gotten the support, but the space came up and we thought we're going to grab it and we're going to actually try and turn it into the thing we have in our heads, which is a sort of film hub. So this space that we're in the next 5 years, I hope is going to become an incredibly vibrant space for filmmakers, a place where filmmakers come to collaborate in, where they come to use our edit suites, a space where they will be able to share and book screening areas, and most important, to network and collaborate amongst themselves. It's a space that we see being able to kind of have a poll, so that anytime there is someone doing something to do with factual film stepping into Nairobi, this is home for them. They need to check in here, spread some of their knowledge, drop some of their dollars. Yeah, well, if it is a foundation or anyone looking for stories to support.
Oh yeah,
we hope that this is the space that they'll find a community of really keen, passionate filmmakers who they can collaborate with.
Amazing, and we wish you guys all the best. You're doing a really great job. And we're going to move on to the next part, which is She Fun Facts. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Oh no.
Okay, She Fun Facts. What is a typical day for Judy Kibinge?
Yeah, I love Docubox. I think it feels like a family, but I also have a family that I love, and little 3-year-old boy and amazing partner, husband. And so the day starts with him jumping into bed. Sometimes it starts with him saying, it's too cold to go to school. And so his school is really close.
Oh, yeah.
Often I'll just walk him there, which is fun. And then sometimes, depending, I might have Skypes or things that I'm doing. I sometimes prefer to do that at home because I feel sometimes get into the office, there's actually always so much going on that I sort of like to have that quiet moment. And yeah, my day is not filled with lots of things to point out, other than a lot of work things and a lot of really interesting family things that I love doing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So it revolves around the two. That's great.
Yeah, and friends. Yeah.
Good. So if you were taken back to conception, and you were given the option to choose whether you'd be a man or a woman, where would you fall?
Oh, a woman, please. There's nothing better.
Nothing. You wouldn't take it back.
What? Oh my, like, does anyone ever answer any different?
Oh yeah.
What? You mean there's some women who'd like to be men?
Yes.
For real?
Believe it or not.
Why?
Very shockingly.
No.
Yes.
I'm astonished.
Yes.
I don't know. I just, sorry guys in the office, but like, wow.
Yes, there are people who would actually like to fall the other way.
Wow. That's amazing to me.
But I'm glad you are on that path.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't change that for anything.
Yeah, you too. Huh?
Yeah. So in your line of work and being a trailblazer in production and in filmmaking, have you ever received any, derogatory remarks or any discouraging words because of your gender?
No. If I have, I didn't hear them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your role in kind of blocking them out and moving forward?
They just don't occur to me. Mm-hmm. I think even if somebody said so, it wouldn't click.
Wow. And now my favorite part, the tongue twister.
Oh Lord.
Today you land on a Swahili one, so you're gonna repeat that for us.
Oh my God, I remember this
as fast
from school.
as you can.
Wale wali 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 keep will come out. Wale wali 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 wali. Okay, let me try. Wale wali 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 wali.
We're getting there.
Wale wali wali. Oh no. Wale wali 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 wale wali wali wali. That is not fun.
It is fun. It is fun. To remind you of school.
Oh my gosh. Please send that to me.
It's okay. All is well. Thank you very much.
Next time I see it, I'll be like, wale wali.
Yeah. But that was a good attempt. And I think you aced it.
Oh dear, thank you.
Thank you, Judy, for having us at Docubox.
Thank you for coming.
I think it's safe to say that I think even the viewers at home have gotten a pointer or two and understood a bit more about the filmmaking industry. And I think we wish you all the best and do continue trailblazing in your line of work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been She Power. We've been featuring Judy Kibinge, Executive Director of Docubox, right here on WTV Kenya. I've been your host, Linda Kroeger. Keep it here, same time, same place.